we compete for youth. Compete for youth who was born and raised in Tatarstan, and for those who are from other countries and from other regions. How do we do that? The main principle is nothing about youth without youth. If we involve youth into creating infrastructure, into creating projects, and make them responsible for the result, not make them only consumers of what we create, then we provide another quality of value for youth, and they feel their responsibility for the future. And that's their interest. And they get another taste of this work and of the project, infrastructure, of anything, if they participate in constructing it. But to do that, of course, we should know our youth. Can you please help me to shift the presentation? Oh, yes, thank you. Thanks. So, to do that, to be professional on that, and to involve youth into that process, we should know our youth, and the number of youth of Tatarstan is more than 1 million people, and it's very different. 14th and 17th years old teenagers. Of course, they are thinking about next steps in their development, where to, okay, at that time, okay. School children, college students, then university students, then young specialists, working youth, then young families, and according to our law, all of them is youth. So what we should do, we should create to different youth different opportunities, driven by this main principle: nothing about youth without youth, starting from actually kindergarten. I don't know if I will be able to explain this example in English, but I will try. I'm sure many of you have children. Raise your hands if you have kids at home. You know that the taste of food that is prepared by kids with your help is absolutely different. And kids, they enjoy it other way. They, even if you think that it's not enough salt or pepper in this or that dish, when kids are preparing it, they enjoy it because that's their food, that's their dish, and they don't want to give it to someone, or they want to show the result to their parents. That's about the youth policy. If we involve youth into making happen some great projects, not just inviting them to the opening, but make them participating, I think that makes another value, and that's about the responsibility, and that's about the spirit of entrepreneurship, because they should be initiative. This is one of our principles. We should be where the youth is, because today we compete for youth, not just in our youth centers, but on internet. We compete in the trade centers. That's why, if we're talking about effective youth policy and educational system, because education is not just giving knowledge, it's about bringing up and giving the way youth think. We should be everywhere, and it should be inclusive, of course. So it's about 3 main points: about infrastructure, staff, and content. And what we do now is we renovate our programs, renovation programs, our youth objects youth centers, teenage clubs, youth camps involving youth, and we organize inside each of these objects, infrastructural objects, young business hubs. So we put together young teenagers and older ones. We put together investors. We put together mentors so that they support each other to create this environment of opportunities. Of course, there are some special programs on entrepreneurship. For example, startups labs, accelerators and universities, and youth centers, IT incubator and IT park, for example, that was opened just a few months ago in Kazan. It 15,000 square meters. Of course, a top 50 and top 100 innovative ideas contest, so on and so far. But main idea is that if we're talking about entrepreneurial spirit, we should think about the very beginning to create this attitude of personal responsibility and to give the opportunity to participate in concrete project, if it's building, youth center, teenagers construction, teenage club construction, or project and startup. I would be very happy to answer your questions if you will have any. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, thank you for information. And Mr. Timrali, what are your ideas about this topic?
This one is not working. Okay, it's on now. Thank you. Dear distinguished guests, I would like to first bring the warmest greetings from our President, Sadr Nurbajev Chaparov, and we are here to follow the vision and the direction that was set between the two presidents of our nations. Recently, it has been, I think, 1.5 months that Ilham Aliyevich Geydarovich Aliyev visited Kyrgyzstan. Within 7 months, I think, that was the second bilateral visit, which usually doesn't happen. If one country visits the other country, it takes a year to pay the visit back. But the two presidents of our nations showed us the direction that the bilateral ties in trade and investment has to be enhanced. In this regard, again, to the nation of Azerbaijan, we are bringing the warmest regards. I think between our nations, beside that 20 countries are taking part in this conference, we are targeting morely relations with Azerbaijan. There are two pillars that our relations are based on, both the religious one, since under the umbrella of Islamic countries cooperation, but at the same time we feel true brotherhood feelings to the state of Azerbaijan. And personally, I was closely monitoring all the progress that Azerbaijan made in retaining and bringing back its territories. And the same feelings are shared by all Kyrgyz citizens, and I can assure you on that. At the beginning of this conference, everyone heard the Imam reciting the Surah Qaf, which in my understanding was talking about the soil, which was talking about water, and was talking about air. Everyone, all humanity takes it as granted that it was given for free. But unfortunately, taking into account the climate change, the current turbulence with the war and the conflict, we are seeing that indeed soil, water, and air are assets, and those assets are to be valued, and those assets are to be seized. When talking about these three assets and the climate change, I would like to stress out a few things about the possibilities and the potential between our countries. And we are holding separate talks with the government officials, but I would like to reach out to the entrepreneurs who are the main participants of this event. We are facing global migration due to the climate change, and all partnering countries from the Gulf states of Azerbaijan, and including China and India, are facing hardships during summertime. And this is my understanding that in 10 to 15 years or foreseeable future, the climate change is going to get even more worse. So people will need shelter during the summertime. And one of the shelters that we can open up our doors for is Kyrgyzstan, that shares the mountains both with Tajikistan. But on top of the mountains, we enjoy the pearl of Central Asia, the Issyk Lake, which is located in 15 to 1400 meters above the sea level, which gives the perfect environment for both health-conscious people, the athletes, the digital nomads, as we call them, that are either being forced out of their own home residences or deciding to locate in the environments most suitable to them and enjoy the four seasons, both in skiing and enjoying the summertime on the shoreline. So we are running multiple projects in this sense, and I will be happy to share you information on that, both in building, we're commencing the Olympic centers, we are commencing the new towns by the Issyk Lake. Speaking about the food security, Kyrgyzstan is a great platform where Azerbaijan, where the entrepreneurs and the companies from Azerbaijan could cooperate together in order to not only utilize the preferences our country is given with the Eurasian Trade Union, which gives certain preferences on customs clearance and as well as the VAT, but using taking the advantage of Azerbaijan's strategic location in transferring the goods, we could do the same to China and to Russia. We see a lot of Russian companies relocating to Kyrgyzstan, and we see immense demand from Russian Federation. In this regard, the companies interested in selling their goods to Russia could find a home in Kyrgyzstan as well. Speaking about China, we are accustomed that China is the net exporting country, and it indeed does export a lot of goods at a very reasonable cost. But people are not taking into account that China is very much interested in securing its food security and concentrating on green products, the natural products or organic products. There is immense demand in Chinese population as the mid and the upper middle class is growing. And Kyrgyzstan enjoys both very clean soil and clean water, as we enjoy the biggest glaciers in Central Asia. That means that immediately the water is very clean, and water itself is becoming a very big commodity, not only in Central Asia, but globally. In this regard, we also have the largest wild walnut forest. The fruits and vegetables that we grow are basically most of them are wild. So everything that can be washed, can be processed properly, can be packaged properly, and can be sold to China. So this is another opportunity that we are ready to share with you. On top of that, Kyrgyzstan basically does not commit to polluting the earth, and we are very close to be carbon neutral compared to many other countries. In this regard, there is immense opportunity in construction industry, as we lack about 70 million square meters of residential construction that's with the unmet demand. And the current local construction companies are not, do not have the potential to fulfill that demand immediately. We are in talks with global climate institutions in launching 4 to 5 large-scale projects where everything shall be constructed as per green technologies criteria, and as well as using the renewables. In this regard, there are numerous opportunities that Azerbaijan's companies and entrepreneurs could take use and advantage of. And finally, I would like to stress on the energy. Kyrgyzstan's 95% of energy is generated by the hydro. There is immense potential still to be utilized. The neighboring Pakistan is consuming electricity at 20 cents per kilowatt per hour. And in Kyrgyzstan, it's merely about 1.5 to 2 cents. So there is immense potential to generate it and sell it to Pakistan utilizing the CASA 1000 project that's about to be completed, I hope, in 4 to 5 years. On top of that, we enjoy 2,600 hours of daylight, which is considered to be a very high number. So the renewable energy potential is very big in Kyrgyzstan, and the neighboring states will be willing to buy out all the electricity that we can generate together. So finalizing my points, I would like to invite companies from Azerbaijan and the state bodies to visit us. The agency that I'm heading is basically the Ministry of Investments under the umbrella of Kyrgyz Republic's president. And we're responsible for investment policy development and execution, all private partnership projects with a portfolio of over $1 billion. And free economic zones and export promotion. Our doors are always open to you, and I would like to again convey the message of the President that the people of Azerbaijan are the closest brothers to us, and we are willing to follow the agenda set by the two presidents, and would like to share that the news that recently we've opened the park and the nice school named after the first president of Azerbaijan, Geydar Aliyev. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Timrali, for sharing your ideas. Dr. Hassanay, could you share with us your thoughts about this topic?
Ehan, for inviting me to this event. Of course, we collaborate with ICYF extensively, and this is another opportunity to share our thoughts on a very important subject. My work has been made easy by all the preceding speakers, so let me not go into many things which they have already said. A few words about COMSTECH. We are the Ministerial Standing Committee for Scientific and Technological Cooperation of the OIC. This long name basically just represents the fact that the COMSTECH is an organization which is meant to formulate policy, formulate recommendations, formulate and enact programs and activities which are based on the cooperation between various Islamic countries. And so most of our programs are really programs of cooperation in various ways, except for programs that we design as analysis programs or policy measures, etc. So with this background, let me say that how do we at COMSTECH look at this entrepreneurship business? Well, we see it as a part of a chain of actions that need to be taken. For example, we start with the education and research and innovation, and we end with the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship by itself, as you may well have understood from our preceding speakers, is not a sustainable activity unless it is built on the foundations of a very sound educational system which emphasizes on skill development and on inculcating habits of questioning, habits of probing, and developing solutions to problems. And I will talk a little bit on this later. And then, of course, we go on to higher education and research, and then we go on to the critical part of innovation, which I will also give some examples how COMSTECH is trying to promote the areas of innovation and entrepreneurship. And finally, we come to the question of entrepreneurship and how it is to be nurtured. But since our topic of this panel basically is human capital development, let me just focus on that and the context in which we need to develop our human capital. Well, firstly, as I briefly indicated in my earlier comments, that it is not sufficient now anymore to be providing information as education. We are definitely now at a very competitive stage in the global market where everything has become integrated. To develop those skills in our educational process, where from a very early stage, children are inculcated and taught how to engage with their observations, how to engage with technology as a means of finding solutions to problems, and how to indigenize. A common problem in many of our countries is a tendency to have imported solutions to local problems. This is something which has to be curbed in the sense that governments have to really focus on the need for supporting indigenous and local solutions to local problems. No one understands the two things better than a local population. The complexity of a local problem and the means available locally to solve a problem. So as far as promotion of entrepreneurship and innovation from the government side is concerned, their main effort, we have been stressing governments, is to promote indigenization, to stop unnecessary import of technology. That will be the greatest boost that you can give to entrepreneurship at the government level. A few words now I would like to say on the context in which we have to develop human capital. We are, as you know, standing at the doorstep of the fourth industrial revolution. So alongside the conventional technologies that we are all familiar with in engineering and in technologies, we are now entering the arena where artificial intelligence and robotics and cloud computation and blockchain, etc. These are now going to lay the foundations. They are going to be the elements of smart cities and smart technologies, and we are in a way it is to our advantage, because the conventional technologies require much more capital intensive, much more capital has to be put in to research in conventional technologies, in engineering, in nanotechnology and biotechnology, in genetics. These are, of course, very important areas of research in which the new technologies will be built. But as far as the artificial intelligence is concerned, the advantage for our countries is that it is not as capital intensive to do research and to engage with these technologies, to convert them into applications, to convert them into apps, as they are called in the mobile apps. At COMSTECH, we witnessed, we were monitoring how our countries engaged with the COVID-19 challenges in health, and we were amazed to find that almost every country that we studied amongst the OIC had itself risen to the occasion of how to meet the challenges of the epidemic through various apps, through various technologies of remote medicine, through robotics in many cases, through drone technologies in many cases. So this was an example of an opportunity which was, in a sense, a disaster, but through the combined efforts of local populations and science and technology and entrepreneurship, much was done in saving human lives and in reducing the expenditure medically. Now, if you want to understand from our point of view what we see as the ways in which these entrepreneurship and human capital can be developed from our perspective as from COMSTECH, what we see is that there are, of course, the individual responses of countries and nations, what policies they make to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. So I will not go into that, except mention that we have been at COMSTECH, we have a network of science and technology parks. And so in basis of that, we do monitor how science technology parks as promoters of entrepreneurship and innovation are functioning. And it is a positive sign that most of our countries, or at least almost half of our countries, are actively pursuing the policies of promoting incubation centers and technology parks, and those that is bearing a lot of fruit in countries like Turkey, countries like Iran and Malaysia, and in particular are the three countries one can see. Others also we are monitoring, and I'm sure that many other countries are promoting and facing and finding a lot of local talent which is developing. Secondly, we promote the idea of mutual cooperation between countries for promotion of entrepreneurship and innovation. And we do this in the form of exchange fellowships, in the form of exchange visits, and we do this particularly in the form of exhibitions and competitions. And I can give you examples of many events that we have done. For example, in partnership with the Islamic Development Bank, COMSTECH organized what's called the Transformers Roadshow for Pakistan, and also we can do for other countries. So these Transformer Roadshows are competitions between various startups, and then when they are the selected ones are taken to the international roadshow of the Islamic Development Bank. So that is an idea that I would like to suggest for these countries of this region. For example, having a competition of your startups, so that then the better ones or the successful ones can be projected at the international roadshows. Then we have what we can call at COMSTECH we have developed a OIC technology portal. This portal only highlights the innovations and the startups based new enterprises of the OIC countries. So I encourage you to look at the OIC technology portal on COMSTECH, and if you have any products that you want, any innovation that you want to be exhibited amongst the OIC countries in particular, you can register in our portal and you will be exhibited over there. Also in these, in our road shows and these things, we always, workshops, we hold mentoring sessions. For example, in the Islamic Development Bank based roadshow, we had workshops and mentoring sessions where these international experts on entrepreneurship organized groups of our trainees or our successful innovators and taught them about the principles and techniques of how to attract funding for their enterprises and their efforts. And finally, also we organize competitions and, as I mentioned earlier, exhibitions of technologies based on the indigenous efforts. We organize many of these exhibitions. I cannot go into the whole list, but I mentioned a few competitions that I have personally organized in the field of robotics and artificial intelligence. About 3 years back, before the corona hit, I organized a robotics competition for the youth. In fact, with the ICYF was our partner also in that. And it was held in Tashkent, and it was very popular. 30 countries participated in this. And we were hoping, in fact, Azerbaijan was interested in holding the second robotics competition of the OIC. But then the intervention of the corona took place, and we had to postpone it. But I look forward to renewing our efforts for having robotics competitions as a major area of the AI in which youth are very interested. Similarly, COMSTECH has prizes for such patents. Every year we give prizes for OIC scientists in the fields, in various fields where they have obtained patents which have been recognized. Finally, I have an idea which I want to just float over here, and I would be happy to receive any feedback. People have mentioned the effects of brain drain on our societies, and that is very obvious. Unfortunately, we will not be able to stop this brain drain in the very near future until our economies reach a certain level where they can absorb all the people whom they are educating. So a lot of an asset and our talent is really abroad and contributing as expatriate scientists and technologists or social scientists. They are contributing immensely to the entire world. I suggest that the OIC should think of having panels of experts, because many of our scientists abroad are very keen to help our countries in their development. They are keen to provide them fellowships or visits. They're keen to provide working advice. They are keen to visit their countries and help formulate policies and actions. So I'm suggesting that we should have regular expatriate technology committees to help us formulate these policies. And since I know that His Excellency Ahmad is here from the OIC, and I would suggest that they should look seriously at this opportunity or this of having expatriate committees of experts to give practical advice and opportunities for the development of technologies in our countries and their entrepreneurship. So maybe I think I must have utilized my time by now. So I thank you very much for this opportunity once again, and I look forward to any questions or any suggestions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hasanayim, for your thoughts. Değerli tədbir iştirakçıları,
distinguished attendants, thank you so much for listening to the panel discussions, but also I would like to give my thanks to our esteemed speakers for sharing their valuable experience. Thank you so much. Hopefully, information shared here would be very beneficial for you. Thank you.